The first thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com. You need to go to the website. Once you're on the website, you need to select math as your subject. This is a grade 9 maths lesson. The topic for today is statistics. The chapter number is, I'll give you the chapter and the lesson number, chapter number 9, lesson number 3. Chapter number 9. And the lesson number is lesson number 3. What we will do in this topic is we will identify an outlier. What is an outlier? Let's go to this first and I'll explain. Okay, grade 9, chapter 9, lesson number 3. Okay, so an outlier is a number. Let's suppose you're in grade 9s. The average age of the students is 14 years old, 14 or 15 years old, right? But if a student who is 10 years old or a student who's 20 years old studying in your class, then that age group would be an outlier, right? That is not usually in that group, right? So let's look at some questions and let's see what is an outlier in this given data set that's provided to us. Okay, the question number 1 says, this is the data set that has been provided to us. We are given, and these are the values that have been provided to us. Okay, we need to find an outlier out of these values. See, what we can see is, in order to find an outlier, we need to find a number that is out of the range, not very close, very far away. See, 10 and 14 are near. 18 is also near, right? 23, 35, 37, 42, 56. These numbers are within 100, right? But what we see over here is we have another number that is 763. 763 is not anywhere near the other numbers, right? So we say that an extreme value, an outlier, is an extreme value. So in this case, what is an outlier? 763, because it is far away from the given values. Okay, so today we are just trying to find or identify an outlier value. Okay, for the next question, they're asking us to select an outlier from the given data. Let's see question number 2. In question number 2, if this is the information that has been provided to us, we need to find an outlier. So can we say that then the first number, that is 41, that is given to us, 41 is closer to 49 and so on, right? Let's look. 41, 49, 61, 68. So we can say that all these numbers are close to each other than one number, that is 663. 663 is many hundred folds greater than the remaining numbers, right? It's like that would have 600 difference in it with an average number. So can we say 663 is an outlier? That means this is not a common number, or it is an extreme value in these given values. For these given values in this question, 663 was out of range. It is an outlier. Okay, agreed? Let's have a look again. Another set of values are given to us. We need to select an outlier from the given set of data. For question number 3, we just need to remember that an outlier would always be a number that is on the extreme. Okay, so can we say in this given set of values, if 60, we start with 62, we go to 69, and so on. We have values in 70s, then we have a lot of values in 70s, right? So which value looks like an outlier over here? Can we say that 215 is an extreme value? How? If we draw a number line, right? If we say that this was 62, this was 69, this was 71, this was 72, 73, 74, 75, 77, then 215 would be way far from the given information, right? So this is an extreme value. And the extreme value is always the outlier. So we can say 215 in this question is an extreme value, which means it is an outlier. Okay, do we agree on this? Okay. Moving on to the next question. The next question says, select an outlier. And the given numbers are these. These are the given values to us. We need to find an outlier such that, okay, question number 4. So we can say 14, 24, 34, 73, 76, 81, and 83. These numbers are less than 100, right? They all lie within a range of 70, right? 83 minus 14 would be 69. So that means within the range of 70 numbers, right? But when we see this information on a number line, we would see that 282 is a number that is extreme value, that is beyond the range, that is not close to the number previous to it. It's not close to 83. It has a big gap, right? So we can say that 282 is an outlier, right? For this given information. I'll just put this information in a box so that we know which values to use. Moving ahead to the next question. In this case, we are just picking up outliers. We are just trying to find which number is an outlier. Okay. Let's suppose for the next given question, question number 5, if we have this given information and we say we need to pick up an outlier. Okay. So which number is out of the range? Question number 5, we can say that 36, 46, difference of 10, difference of 2, difference of 9, and so on. They're close. 36, 46, 48, 59, 61, 75 till 85, they are close numbers. They're close to each other. But there is one number that is not close to them. That is at the extreme value. That is 83. So we can say 834 is an outlier in this given information. Agreed? Okay, let's create another question. Okay, if I would say select from the given information, from the data set, select an outlier. If I say, I will select some values. If I say 1, then we have 53, then we have 57, then we have 61, 63, 64, and 65. In this case, what we can see is the numbers on the given set of values. If we draw a number line, can we say that the numbers on this number line were, if we said this was 53, if we said this was 57, 61, 63, 64, 65, and we had 1 over here. Okay, so the minimum number can also be an outlier because it's an extreme value. So can we say over here that this one, the one over here, is an extreme value? Extreme can be on either sides. Extreme means having a huge difference. So what we can say over here is 1 is an outlier, right? Any value that is not within the range would be an outlier. Moving ahead to the next question. The next question says select an outlier in the given data set. Data set means given number of values. For the given number of values, if these are the values that have been provided to us, I'll just rearrange them. We need to find an outlier. Select a suitable outlier from the given data set. In this given question, question number 7, what can be an outlier? We know that 11, 21, 27, 53, 58, 82, 98 are close to each other. If we try to draw it on a number line, can we say that, let's suppose if we say this was 11, this was 21, 27, 53, 58, 82, 98, and this would be 619. So 600 is the extreme value. Agreed? So we can say that 619 is the extreme value, and whichever value is the extreme is always the outlier. In this case 1, in this case 619. So we can say that 619 is an extreme value. Agreed? Any questions up to now? Okay. If we don't have questions, let's move on to the next one. We are only trying to find the extreme values over here. Any values that does not follow the pattern would be an extreme value. For the next question, it says select an outlier such that just a moment, please. For question number 8, we want to pick up an outlier. We need to select an outlier. If these were the values which were given to us, okay, question number 8. So we can say that if the smallest value is 37, we need to find the maximum distance between the smallest value and the greatest value, right? And if 37 was the smallest, then 43 is near to 37, 49 is also near to 37, 50, 51, 52, 53, and 57, right? But we know that 337 is an extreme value because it's more than, like, it does not lie within the range of these given values. So we can say 337 is an outlier. Agreed? Okay, thank you. Select the outlier in the new data set. For the next question, it says, okay. For the next question, it says, select the outlier in the given data set such that the numbers given are these. I'll remove this. For question number 9, we need to find the outlier. So again, let's try to draw a number line. Let's see where the numbers can be. Can we say this is 32? Can we say this is 42? Can we say this is 58, 62, and so on? And 309 would be very far away. That means 309 does not lie within the range of given values, and it is an extreme value. Okay, so we can say that 309 is an outlier. Agreed? 309 would be an outlier for this given question. Moving on to the question number 10. Okay. Let's suppose if I would change the values over here. I would consider my own set of values. Okay. If for question number 10, I'm selecting certain values, question number 10, if I say 0.1, 0.15, 0.21, 0.23, 0.31, and 0.36 and 0.98. Even if the numbers are in decimals, we can always have an outlier. Okay. Why? Because we see that these numbers were from, if I draw them on a number line, I can say that if the first number was 0.1, this was 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 0.9, and this would be 1.0 over here, right? So if I would highlight the outliers 0.15, 0.21, 0.23, 0.31, but 0.98 was out of the range, right? Irrespective of whole numbers, decimal numbers, or fractions, we can always have an outlier in any given form. So what we can say over here is 0.98 is the outlier, right? Is the extreme value. So we can say 0.98 is an outlier for this given data set. Okay. So let's try another question. Do we agree on this? Do we have any more questions? Okay. I'll try another one with the decimals. Okay. If it says select an outlier in question number 11. Let's try to make a more interesting question. If the numbers given to us were 0.01, 0.11, 0.12, 0.13, and 0.14. Okay. So what we can say is which number would be an outlier in this case? If we have a number line, can we say, let's label these numbers. If I say this is 0, 0.1, 0.2, right? Can I say 0.11 would be over here? 0.12, 0.13, 0.14. But we also know that 0.01 was over here. Because if we consider all the numbers to be 3 digits, this is 110, this is only 10, this is 120, this is 130 and 140. So if we are considering the 3 digits, which number should be an outlier? 110, 120, 130 and 140 are very close to each other, but 10 is very far away. So can we say that 0.01 is an outlier in this case? So can we say 0.01 is an outlier? That means it's an extreme value. The extreme value can always be the maximum value or the minimum value. The extreme value cannot be in the middle anywhere. Agreed? Okay, let's see. Let's try a question with fractions on it. Okay, in order to make the question more interesting, let's try fractions. If I would say 1 upon 8, 1 upon 4, 1 upon 3, and 1 upon 2, right? So let's see if we can understand this question. I'll just try to explain the fractions first. Okay. 1 out of 8 means that 1 out of the 8 was shaded over here, right? Let me make a copy first so that I can put it out for all the 3 sets of values. You don't have to do this. I'm just explaining the values, how the fractions would work, right? Okay. So we know that 1 out of 8 would mean 1 part. 4 out of 8 means 4 parts. 3 out of 8 means 1/3. Sorry. Let's take the same fraction because this is 1. Sorry. Let me erase this. 1/3 means, apologies for this. Okay. 1/4 would mean 4 parts. There are 4 segments in this circle, and we are shading how many? 1 out of the 4, right? 1 upon 3 would mean the circle has been broken down into 3 segments, and we are shading 1 out of those 3. Agreed? And 1 upon 2 would mean we have the circle divided into a half, and we are considering 1/2 of the circle. Okay. We know that 1 upon 4 can also, 1 upon 8 is 0.1625, I think. 1 divided by 8 would be, sorry, 0.125. Okay. This is 0.25. And let's suppose we have a 1 as well over here. That means the complete circle has been selected over here. Okay, so this is 0.25, this is 0.33, this is 0.5, and this is 1.0. Agreed? So if we want to draw these numbers on the number line as per the given fraction, we know that If this was a 0, this was a 1, this would be a half, this would be 1/3, that is 0.33, and this would be 1/4, this is 0.25, and this would be 1/8, that is 0.125. If we plot down these values, this value 0.25, 0.33, 0.5, and 1.0. So what is an outlier in this case? If we are looking at fractions, we know that in this particular case, 1 is the outlier. 1 is an outlier because all of these values are very close to each other. Agreed? Only 1 is so far away. So it does not matter what kind of values we have. If we have decimal numbers, if we have whole numbers, or if we have fractions, right? We can always find an outlier. An outlier would always be an extreme value, okay? Let's try an example with the whole numbers. They're telling us to find an outlier in the given data set. Let me do this information. For question number 13, an information is given to us. These numerical values are given, and we need to see which of these values is an outlier. Let me just copy this. Okay. So if we have these numbers over here, the numbers were 10, 12, 14, 18, 30, 48, 44, 58, and 190. An outlier would always be an extreme value, either the minimum value or the maximum value. It has to be an extreme value, okay? So let's see which number out of these two numbers is an extreme number. Is 10 nearer to any other number? Yes, we can see 10 is close to 12 and it is close to 14 and 18, all these numbers, right? But for the other extreme value, that is 190, can we see any number that is close to 190? The only number we have close to 190 is 58, and there is a huge difference between 58 and 190, right? Or if we would try to explain it on a number line, you don't have to give this explanation. I'm just trying to giving this explanation for your reference. 14, 18, that means 190 would be so far away. So we can say 119 is an extreme value. Therefore, it is an outlier. Do we agree? Okay. Any form of number, maybe a fractional number, maybe a decimal number, or a whole number, we can always find an outlier. Okay. Let's try to make the same question a little more interesting. Okay. Let's say if we have a negative numbers. Okay. Let's pick up some negative numbers. Let's see what we can do with negative numbers. If we have the number minus 12, sorry, minus 36, minus 12, minus 10, minus 4, 0, and plus 2. Okay. What number should be an outlier in this case? Because we have negative numbers also over here. So what are the two extreme numbers? Should it be 0 and plus 2? Or should it be negative 36 and negative 4 or 0? So in order to know the extreme numbers, let's try plotting it on a number line. Okay. If we have a number line, we can say that if this was 0, then this could be 2, this could be negative 4, negative 10, negative 12, but negative 36 is way far away from the origin, from the natural number 0, right? So can we say in this case that negative 36, because negative, see, these could be temperatures of a city, right? Any given city. That means negative 36 was the most extreme temperature for that particular city, right? So negative 36 is not usual. Therefore, we say negative 36 is an outlier. Agreed? Let's look at some more examples. Okay. So if we have the numbers, let's suppose, select an outlier in the given set of information. It is very rare that we would have two outliers in one question, okay? We would try to put one maximum. We don't usually do one maximum and one on the maximum side and one on the minimum side. It would be only one value that would be usually considered as a extreme value. For question number 15, for these given values, which number should be an outlier? Can anyone help me out? If we have 10, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, they're very close. 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. What about 691? We can simply say, directly say, that 691 is an extreme value, therefore it is an outlier. Agreed? We don't have to worry much about this, okay? Because the numbers are very simple. Okay. Let's try one more. And then we'll go to the quiz. And we'll try to see what are the possible answers for any given set of values. So this question says, select an outlier in the given data set. And the given values are, these are the given values for the question. The question number 16. Okay. So what is an outlier for this question? Since we can say 10, 12, 14, 18, 30, 44, and 58 are a closer number, the extreme number would be 190. So we can say 190 is an outlier because it has a huge difference with the number prior to it. Okay. When the numbers have a big difference, that means they're outliers. Let's move ahead. Let's do the test. Let's do some questions from the test. Okay, I'll just pick up the test, select an outlier with the given data. The question number 1 on my screen, you might have a different question. Okay, so let's do the question that I have on the screen. And when you need to practice, you can just do the questions again. Okay, these are simple questions. Let me just realign this. So the first question in the test says, select the outlier in the given data set. This is question number 1 from the test. So which number should be an outlier? I'll make a marking point over here so that it shows us that we started off with the test, okay? Should it be option number A, B, C, D, and E? Can I have the answer? Select the outlier. Which number is an outlier in this case? An outlier has to be the maximum or the minimum value. It has to be the extreme value. Can I have the answer? The numbers given are 32, 42, 58, 62, 64, 65, 68, 74, and the last number is 309. So which number do we see that is furthest away from the majority of numbers? Which number is the outlier? Can I have the answer? Anyone? Yes. Thank you. B. Since B, yes, it's correct. That means if we say 32, 42, they were close, then option number E was the correct answer, right? Thank you. Okay, 309 is the outlier. Moving ahead to the next question. There are total 10 questions over here, very simple ones. Please do complete if some of them are left. Okay. For question number 2, it says, select an outlier from the given data set. Given data set is this set of numbers and these values. Okay. For question number 2. So what would be an outlier in question number 2? Should it be option A, B, C, D, or E? Which number do we see as an outlier over here? Is it 14? Is it 24? Is it C? To make our lives easier, we know that the outlier has to be the extreme value. 73 is not the extreme because it has a number before it, it has a number after it. Similarly, 81 cannot be extreme. So we only have two possibilities for the extreme values. The first one is 14 and the other extreme value is 282. So either one of these has to be the outlier. So which number out of these two numbers has the maximum difference or has the maximum gap to its next number? C. Yes, correct. Your answer is correct. C. How did we reach there? Thank you for the answer. The difference between 14 and 24 was just 10, right? But the difference between 83 and 282 was 199. There's a big difference, right? This difference was 199. This was only a difference of 10. The greater the difference between the numbers, the more chances of it is there to be an outlier, right? Thank you. That means we say over here that option C was the outlier. Agreed? Okay, moving ahead to the next question. I would just click on this option. Okay. If ever you do a mistake, right? So when you're doing the test, it would show you the correct answer. If you have done an incorrect option, so they will give you an explanation over there. Okay. So don't worry about the explanation ever. And always try to follow what the explanation says. Okay. So we have another set of numbers over here. The numbers given are these 41, 49, 68, 71, and so on. We need to find an outlier for this given set of values. For question number 3, let's try to find an outlier. If this was our question number 3, and the options given were 41, B is given as 68, C 61, D 663, and the option for E 49. What should be an outlier? Before doing anything, we look for the extreme values, right? So we have extreme values at 41 and which other value? The last value, right? 663. So which should be an outlier? Should 41 be an outlier or 663? Because the numbers in the middle cannot be outliers. Agreed? Can I have the answer? Which option should be the answer from A to E? Option A, B, C, D, E. Okay. Since we know that, yes, thank you. Option D is correct. Because we know that over here it's just a difference of 9, but over here it's a huge difference, right? The difference would be 663 minus 77, right? This difference was 586. That's a huge difference. So option D was the correct answer. Let's try another question. Question number 4. In question number 4, they are asking us to find the outlier in this given data set. And the options given to us are, let me just copy. If these are the options given to us, and these are the numbers that are given to us. Sorry. Just a moment, please. So what is happening? Okay. So we can say that out of these numbers, which number should be an outlier? For question number 4, which number should be an outlier? Would it be option A, option B, option C, option D, or option E? Which option? Let's look at the extreme values. Okay. Can anyone else give me the answer? Can it be 27? No, right? Because it has values before it and it has a value after it. So it cannot be the extreme value. Let's look for the extreme values first. We can say that either 611 is extreme or 619 is extreme. Agreed? The difference over here was plus 10, right? But the difference over here was 619 and 98, right? The difference was 521. So which has a bigger difference? Yes, thank you. That is option C. Because 619 is an outlier. Okay, let's see another question. 619. We are done with that. For the next question, it says select an outlier for the given data set. Okay. 619 was the answer for this. Let's try question number 5 from the test. The question number 5 says select an outlier from these given values. So what should be the answer? For question number 5, if these options are given to us, question number 5, option number A, B, C, D, and E. This is the multiple choice question, right? We need to pick up the correct option. So which option could be correct? Yes, thank you. Option D is perfectly correct because it is an extreme value. Since this was extreme also, but this has a bigger difference. Thank you. Option number D. Next, moving ahead to the next. The next question says, if the numbers given to us are these, let me just copy paste. If these were the options, if these were the options that were given to us, and these are the numbers that have been given to us, we just need to pick up an outlier for question number 6. They just selected this first box. It's not the answer. Can I have the answer? Which option should be the outlier? Option A, B, C, D, or E? Looking at the extreme values, the extreme values were either 37 or 337, right? The next number to these numbers are 43 and 57. Which number has a larger gap? Yes, D is the correct answer. We are just trying to go through it, right? That means over here, there's a small difference. Over here, there is a huge difference, right? And yes, D was the correct answer. Okay, so we are done with the 6 questions out of 10. Only 4 questions are left. Please do complete them, okay? And we'll end the lesson over here. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Take care.